Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another therapy session of the Dogs Podcast. I tried to warn you guys last week. I told you that this was going to be another therapy session, and here we are. I'm not Nostradamus. I'm just a Browns fan who's watched the team play this year. As you'll see, no Justin today, just Josh and myself. Justin's daughter watched too much of the Browns offense yesterday, and today she's been throwing up, so he had to stay home and take care of her. So hopefully she starts feeling better. Maybe she'll watch the Guardians tonight in the ALCS and start to feel a little bit better.
I sure hope so, man. We need some sort of pick me up because
I know, like, obviously I do a traditional open, but there's just this. Could you imagine what the Browns would be like if they had a front office like the Indians/Guardians, like in a sport where your market size really kind of dictates how competitive you can be? I mean, just look at the Final Four teams. It's 2 New York teams and an LA team. All 3 of these teams have guys on their team that make more than the entire Guardians roster. And the Guardians front office is so good. Chris Antonetti is so good at what he does that he manages to keep the Guardians competitive year in and year out. We might have a down year sometimes. This is essentially our second AFC championship game, since 2016. Yeah. This series, we won 26 games in a row the year after we played in the World Series. Like, the Guardians are never, I won't say never, they're rarely the embarrassment of baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he had a real life owner that would spend real life money, Chris Antonetti could do. He would be insane if he got to be a guy in one of these large markets. Could you imagine? Why can't the Browns get that? Why can't the Browns do that? Why can't they have a smart front office that does smart things, that puts competitive football teams on the field and keeps us? I mean, the salary cap, it's supposed to be parity in the NFL. There's no excuse to be this bad all the time. It's just, I don't know. Just thinking about how the Guardians are in their second ALCS since 2016. We have a winning streak of 20 plus games in that time frame. We've made the playoffs other times, and just we're back to possibly a 1-win football team here in Cleveland for the Browns.
A little bit in defense of the Browns front office. I mean, we going into the season, we all thought, not just us, but analysts, Browns commentators, Browns fans in general, we all thought, hey, on paper, we got a pretty damn good roster. Like, a lot of the players that are playing terrible right now played great last year. So I think there's something in the water too. Like, there's something else going on. It is frustrating though, man. It's so frustrating.
We're going to dive into everything. Let you guys get your thoughts in the show through the comments. Therapy session for all. We promised to have this wrapped up in time for the first pitch tonight, because obviously we want to watch also. So I guess just to kick off the episode, go Guardians, and it's never too early to start screaming, fuck the Yankees. I was screaming it as soon as we won the other night. Again, if you want to get intros and voicemails on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail. On the drop-down menu, you can also go to the Dogs Podcast /football, and you can get one of these cool footballs. I haven't mentioned them in a while, but we got the custom-made Baden Sports footballs with the Dogs Podcast logo on it. So those are pretty cool. So if that's something you're interested in, again, that's thedogspodcast.com /football. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out. We got the therapy sessions. We got the preview episodes. We got Kenny and myself's episodes that we started doing this past week. Thank you to everybody who checked out the first one. So you don't want to miss any of that content that we're putting out. You can give up on the Browns if you want. Just don't give up on us. I normally give this speech end of the year. Like, stick with us through the offseason. We're going to keep bringing you content all the way through the draft. I guess I'm giving it in week 7 now. Stick with us through the offseason. We're going to bring you content all the way through to the draft. I mean, so don't give up on us. You can give up on the Browns, but don't give up on us. I promise we're going to keep trying to do a good job for you. If you prefer just listen to the show, find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. You can find us on every social media platform. Just search at the Dogs Podcast. And if you want more Dogs content, head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page, get access to the private Discord, get to be part of the Dog Pack Discord preview episodes. You get to play fantasy football with us. You get to just hang out with guys from all over the world. So if you want to hang out with us, you want to hang out with other cool people, head to the Dogs or jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. So we got a lot to get into today in terms of what we think about the Browns and how bad they are, because there's not really too much good, maybe outside of Bojo. But before we do, though, we got a couple voicemails. We're going to use one to kind of kick off the episode.
Yep, this one's from Kenny. And before I play Kenny's voicemail, I do want to shout out Rich over at the Tuscarawas County Browns backers providing us with this awesome Dogs Podcast fiberglass sign that we got in front of the desk here. Just kind of completes the whole set here in the studio. I love it. And they had Felix Wright down for the game yesterday. We got to interview him. That episode should be out tomorrow, I think. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, back to not such fun things. Here's Kenny.
Yo, guys, this is Kenny Mack, and thank God for beer, right? Watching the game yesterday, I mean, the defense and the special teams, they did what they needed to do. We can't continue just to score like 9 points or whatever we had yesterday. He missed a field goal again. Like, we're just not scoring. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that's like, oh, it's Deshaun's fault that Amari dropped the pass, and it's Deshaun's fault that, you know, we got an injured center. Listen, at the end of the day, and Josh touched on it in the pregame episode they did, dude, when our quarterbacks, coaches, they get all the blame and they get all the glory. You're going to get all the blame if you have $230 million guaranteed riding on you and you're just not making the team ascend. Ultimately, what we were thinking we were getting is we're getting that. That being said, Amari Cooper, man, you got to catch the ball. I don't know what it is with that guy. Is he reading and trying to understand where he is and surprised like when he gets the ball at an actually good time? Because he's wide open when he's dropping these. And the alarming part of it is that this is the exact same thing that we saw from Baker and Odell. And so is it Stefanski's fault? I'm not sure, but Baker, man, he was leaving guys wide open just like Deshaun is. Either way, MVP at this point is Bojorquez, outstanding offensive player. Rodney McLeod, defensive player. I don't know, pick anybody. I'm out. Let's go Browns.
Well, speaking of Rodney McLeod, I thought this was a not very funny, it's actually a sad stat. He's tied for first in the team in touchdowns with 2. He plays defense.
Dude. When I saw that stat yesterday, I just...
That is so bad. Sinks. In terms of Amari Cooper with his drop passes, I don't know what to make of it. Like, I think this is going to... The team looks so lost, so lifeless, so devoid of fun, so blah. It looks like nobody wants to be there. It doesn't look like Kevin wants to be there. It looks like it's already packed up and done for the year. That's what everybody, they hang their heads. It's awful across the board. And I am obviously a Kevin guy, but it's getting to the point where like we can't do 11, 12 more weeks of this and expect that he's going to be the coach of this football team next year. That we're approaching everybody is going to get fired territory. And I'm at the point now where I'm putting together like a wish list of coaches.
I know. Yeah.
You know, and I'm not a guy who wants Kevin fired, but it's getting to the point where you just might have to, because it's so far gone that you're going to need a different voice to reconcile what's left of the locker room, because it's almost getting to that point where it's that far gone. This is the least fun, worst football team I've ever watched play professional football.
Oh, 100%. We've watched so much bad football in Cleveland over the years, and see if you agree with me on this, but there's not a doubt in my mind. I know Kevin came out in his press conference today and said, you know, we're sticking with Deshaun. He gives us the best chance to win. No, I'm not being forced by Jimmy to play Deshaun, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think he is, because I have seen Jimmy Haslam make decisions and put his influence into football decisions in the past, and it has led to terrible things on the field. It's the only thing to me that explains what we're watching. Like this is ownership making this push, and you can just see it trickle down. Like you said, Kevin doesn't look like he wants to be there. He doesn't believe in what's going on right now. The players don't believe in it. Nobody cares. And it's got to be coming from the top. That decision to keep starting Deshaun is forcing us to continue losing.
We obviously were 100% on board with making the move for Deshaun. I still like that the organization took a big swing and went for him. And I was okay with letting AVP go because I wanted to modernize the offense. And we kind of all just figured AVP was just another Kevin. He was just Kevin there. You know what I mean? But if Kevin wasn't on board with that, you know, you don't want to be micromanaged at your job, especially if you just won Coach of the Year. Think about how much of a turn this team has made just in like the last 6 months. Not that long ago, we had Coach of the Year, Coordinator of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Comeback Player of the Year at the NFL Honors. We had won 11 games, and the Browns were ascending. And look at the turn it's made. We're not even through the second month of the season. I have a hard time staying in tune to watching the games. I went to the grocery store at halftime yesterday.
And you weren't trying to
and I wasn't, and I wasn't trying to hurry up and get back. And I didn't go back and watch what I missed because I just was like, I don't care. Even when we blocked the field goal before the half and returned it for the touchdown, so Rodney McLeod could be tied for the team lead in touchdowns, I just didn't give the tiniest F because it was obvious. It was two awful football teams playing each other. The Eagles are cheeks.
We got to talk about that too.
The Eagles are not going to win many more games either. They are the worst team in their division. They're worse than the Giants, possibly.
Well, I think the Giants are better than Dallas.
Yes.
Dallas sucks.
So
and they blew us out at home.
Yeah. This was two terrible football teams playing each other. So I can't get excited for watching us make a cool play against a terrible football team where even if we win, I know we got 6 losses on deck coming up.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. The season's fucking over at week 7. I have a hard time giving a shit when it's pointless. The only thing I'm already looking forward to the draft, who we can get in the first round. Are we gonna have to get a new head coach, putting together coach wish list, and we're not even out of the second month of the season. We haven't even played a division game yet.
A thing popped up on my timeline a year ago right now. You know what we had just done? We had just beat the 49ers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Coming out of the bye with PJ Walker and everything. Like we were having fun. It was a great season last year. And here we are a year later, like you just said, six weeks into the season, and it's over. Like it's done.
Eagles are better than the Giants. I think that's going to be a heck of a game. The Eagles are not the Eagles. I was 0% impressed with the Eagles.
I was watching Jalen Hurts there for about the first half. Maybe it was like the first quarter and a half. And I was actually thinking maybe Deshaun's not the worst quarterback on the field today. I mean, he was 0 for 8 at one point. Like it wasn't good.
No, that was 2 bad football teams playing each other.
Yes,
there's no doubt. Neither one of those teams are going to end up with many wins. The Eagles are obviously better than the Browns, but they're not much better.
Not much better.
The Browns. Just a total collapse. And in terms of Andrew Jackson said,
I was going to say, let's hit on that.
He said, Josh hit it on it. Over the last 5 years, this organization has been improving and moving right. Something seems off. We look like the organization from 8 years ago. Do you think this is a setup for something? This is what I was kind of alluding to when I talked about if you were being micromanaged. My brain can't even wrap its head around. I can't wrap my head around the fact of how far we've fallen off in such a short amount of time. To go from making the playoffs 2 out of the last 4 years, and even in our down years, Jacoby Brissett played good football for the Browns.
Yep.
Nobody expected us to make the playoffs that year, playing with a backup quarterback for most of the year, bringing Deshaun in for the last 6 games. But we were not the laughing stock. We weren't a dumpster fire. We maybe weren't as good as what we should have been, but we were playing with a backup quarterback all year. And then to turn around and go through everything we went through last year. This is why I push back on people who say Kevin can't rally a locker room. We just watched him do it not a year ago.
Yeah.
So what is the difference this year? Did ownership meddle so much in terms of telling him he had to fire his guy, he had to make this offense around Deshaun, you got to make this work, you got to make this guy play, that Kevin is just like, this is what you got. This is what you wanted, so here it is. And it's not mine, so I don't believe in it. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I know if you fire me, I'll have a job again the next day.
It's kind of a good point.
I'm just done. And everybody, you can tell, nobody seems happy to be there.
You're right, because he looks like a guy who's coaching and he's calling plays like, I know it's not going to work. He can't run this. He can't run this play. He can't run this offense. Just go call the plays.
I don't know what happened, but it was early in that game and he looked so pissed.
Kevin?
Yes. Yeah. He was saying he threw down his thing, and I'm just I don't understand it. I don't know how we fell off so bad in such a short amount of time. And the quarterback, I know it's not all on Deshaun. Amari obviously has drops. His drop yesterday was bad, but here's what kills me is the throw was awful too.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of people have been saying, well, it wasn't his fault. The throw was bad. I'm like, look, guys, it was all around bad. It was not a great throw, but we're not paying. And I've said this to so many people today. The Browns are not paying Amari Cooper $25 million this year to only catch perfectly thrown balls.
Yes.
You have to be able to catch passes that aren't great if they hit you in the freaking hands. You're getting paid as number one wide receiver, and he sucks. Amari Cooper sucks right now.
Yes. And again, not a great thrown ball. I want my $230 million quarterback to hit him in stride in the numbers.
Oh, we've already established he sucks.
Yes. It's a failure on all accounts, like everywhere. It stems from the quarterback position in terms of when you give up 6 draft picks and you give up $230 million, which everyone on this show is okay with because he's supposed to be the guy to elevate guys. And he not only does he not elevate guys, he's bringing other people down. He's making people look like they're playing worse than what they really are. A telling stat for me is everybody is so down on the offensive line. And I'm not saying that they're playing amazing football, but at least going into this week, Deshaun was 3rd in the league in terms of pocket time. In terms of clean pocket time, he was 3rd in the league.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes. But he has taken almost a record pace amount of sacks and all these pressures, and everybody says that the line is awful. No, he doesn't see anybody. He doesn't throw to anybody. Even yet, I know people want to talk about his fourth quarter or whatever it was yesterday, 10 of 11. You don't get to be dog shit for 3 quarters and then go on a little run where you're throwing 5-yard passes in the fourth quarter and say that you started to figure it out. No, by that point, it's too late. You've been abysmal for 3 quarters. I need you to be good at the start of the game for one time in your Browns career. I need you to be good from the beginning. And he was so bad in that first half, it was hard to watch.
So let's just talk about that real quick, because I've seen that going around a lot too. And I know you just said fourth quarter, but it was actually the stat. Okay, so here's the stat.
Okay.
He was 11 of 12 for 122 yards in the second half. That stat looks cool. 11 of 12 for 122, like he was pretty much perfect. Okay, the stat looks great. But you break it down. I went play by play through the game yesterday online. That was heading into the fourth quarter. He only had 8 completions in the entire game for 84 yards. So the first, I forget, the first couple completions came in that third quarter, but then the fourth quarter is where he went 8 for 9 for 84 yards. So the fourth quarter was nice, but the rest of the game was the same output, 8 for 14 for 84 yards. So he played one quarter just the same as he played the other 3. Those first 3 quarters are why we didn't win the game.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, oh, well, he put us in game-winning drives, and it was the penalties and all this stuff, the stupid end-around thing, all that stuff that cost us the game. Play better earlier in the game. Yes. And then you don't have to worry about this shit at the end.
And you're the $230 million quarterback. Yes, everybody needs to play well, but you need to not be part of the problem.
Right.
You need to be the thing that we're not worried about. You need to be like, well, this is locked up. We got to get everybody else playing better. No, you're the biggest problem, and everybody else is just, they know there's no shot, and they got to be professionals and they got to play better, but you're the biggest problem. Right. And you're supposed to be the solution. It's so bad. His one throw to maybe Judy down the sideline into the end zone, it almost got picked off. He has Njoku wide open, going right down the middle of the field, and he doesn't even look at him.
Yeah.
The one play where he just sails it over Amari's head, and they talked about Amari broke off his route, and Deshaun's like going like this, like he wants him to go deep. And I went back and watched that play today. The corner's bailing. Amari did the right thing and broke his route off, turned around. He's got 3 yards of separation.
Oh, he's wide open.
Deshaun puts it on him in the numbers. Amari catches it, turns around. It's probably 8 yards at least. If not, he gets a couple more, gets a first down. And instead, he's telling him to go into what? The corner's bailing.
What's it matter if he goes down the sideline on that play anyway? He threw 10 yards out of bounds. It didn't matter.
It's just so bad. And then to come out and say he gives us the best chance to win, there's no way you believe that.
Nope.
There's no way. You had to get to, the only thing I can think about that even makes sense to me is at the beginning of the year, they got into a room together and they said, it doesn't matter what happens. He's playing all 17 games this year.
Yeah.
We're not going outside of this year wondering what if. It doesn't matter if he is the worst quarterback we've ever seen, which statistically since like the year 2000, he is.
Yeah.
Not just in the Browns, like ever. I got some screenshots. But he's getting this whole year. And if he's terrible, then we'll get a high ranked draft pick, because that's the only thing that makes sense. There's no way you watch this and you think he gives us the best chance to win. There's no way you think guys are playing for him. I know they're saying all the right things. Oh, he's coming in, he's working. We like what he's doing. Actions speak louder than words.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you have any screenshots from Quincy Carrier?
No.
All right, so I got one from Quincy. I thought this stat right here, if you guys don't believe that Deshaun Watson is playing some of the worst football ever, like, just hang tight. So Quincy posted this on X. Browns offense in 2023, 6 games with PJ Walker and DTR. We had 111 first downs, 1,700 total yards, minus 62 expected points on, 62 expected points on offense and 106 points overall. Browns offense in 6 games with Deshaun Watson in 2024, 90 first downs, 20 fewer than last year, 1,400 yards, 300 yards fewer, and 95 total points scored, 10 or 11 points fewer than last year with DTR and PJ Walker.
Yeah, that's awful.
So, hey, if you want to make sure we're getting the same quarterback play that we got last year with PJ and DTR, we got it. A little bit less, but close. This episode is sponsored by Leaf Filter. Browns fans, whether the team is winning or not, you are the most die-hard, loyal fans in the league, year in and year out. And just like you, Leaf Filter has been supporting clean gutters in Northeast Ohio year after year. And because Leaf Filter is the official gutter guard of the Cleveland Browns, they have a limited time offer for all of you barking dogs. Right now, you can get up to 32% of your entire qualified purchase and 2 free official Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/dogs. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever cleaned your gutters, but it's a tedious, messy, time-consuming chore. So cut down on your weekend home maintenance, cross off another item on that to-do list so you can spend more time watching football on your days off. Leaf Filter uses award-winning patented technology to keep everything out of your gutters except for the water. Schedule your free gutter inspection today for a free no-obligation estimate on protecting your home from flooding, roof damage, rotting siding, foundation issues, and all those things you really don't need to be dealing with as a homeowner. A Leaf Filter trusted pro will clean out your gutters, realign and seal them before installing Leaf Filter. Schedule your free inspection now, and for a limited time, get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free Browns jerseys at Leaf Filter, leaffilter.com/dogs, DAWGS. That's a free inspection, up to 32% off, and 2 free Browns jerseys with a qualified purchase at leaffilter.com/dogs. Offer valid on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/dogs. See representatives for warranty details.
Most tax pros leave a message.
It's Jane. I'm moving on to a TurboTax expert who beat your price. Adam Devine, tell him how I feel.
Hey, tax pro, she's been thinking twice. Best believe TurboTax will beat your price. This is a tax break.
Switch to a TurboTax Live expert and we'll beat what you paid your pro last tax season. Make the switch at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice. TurboTax full service only. Sign up by 12/20/2024 and file by 4/1/2025. Full details at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice.
And here's some things. The Browns offense, out of 798 teams through 6 games since the year 2000.
Oh, this one's bad.
Red zone trips, they're tied for 784th. Offensive penalties, they're tied at 795th. Yards to go on third down, also at 795th. Third down conversion rate, 797th. So since the year 2000, they're statistically arguably the worst offense of all ever in the last 24 years. Since the year 2000, out of 566 passers through 6 weeks, Watson ranks 558th in QBR, 565th in yards per dropback, and 566th in first down rate. The Browns have now scored 1 time in their last 29 drives.
29 drives.
Everything this offense does looks hard. They can do, nothing is easy. Every single yard is an all-out battle with themselves to get 1 freaking yard. It is terrible. Following Sunday's game, the Browns ranked 32nd in total offense, yards per play, passing yards per play, sacks, first downs, third down efficiency. Newsflash, guys, there's only 32 teams in the NFL, so that means we're last. 30th in scoring and passing, 28th in rushing, and 19th in rushing yards per attempt. It's the worst offensive football team, arguably, of all time. And this team won 11 games last year, and we added Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
And everybody else is the same.
Yes. I've had people today telling me, like, well, what if DTR and PJ had played behind this offensive line? I'm like, they did.
Yeah, they did. And I don't know if you guys remember, the offensive line was awful last year.
And Watson yesterday had both his starting tackles. Nobody last year had both starting tackles the whole season because Conklin went out in the first game.
Yeah.
Guys, come on.
And we didn't, you know how the offensive line was terrible last year also? Go back and look at the yards per carry. We still didn't run the ball for shit last year.
Ooh.
But we ran the different kind of offense where we could marry the run game with the pass game. Everything looked the same, which forces your linebackers to freeze up. We've talked about all this. It made the defense think a little bit. And you had a quarterback, once you brought Flacco in, who knew where to go with the ball before this ball was even snapped.
Yes.
And he got it out quick, and he got it out on time and on target. What we're doing, you can't put this product out. I'm telling you right now, this game, this is the return of Nick Chubb, and there will be cheers when Nick Chubb touches the ball, and every other play is going to be the most vile. It's going to be like an away soccer game in Europe. Only it's a home game for the Browns.
Right.
I don't know if we've ever going to see a crowd like this. It's
going to be nasty.
I've never seen the Browns fans so angry. Like we were 1-31 and we weren't this mad. We joked about it. People are legitimately pissed.
Yeah.
Because you have a guy who wasn't overly likable to a lot of the fan base as it is, and they weren't on board with the move to get him. That might not be us, but a lot of the fan base. And all he's done is tank the franchise. People, and then you're sticking with him. Okay, you made the move, it didn't work. So admit you were wrong. Just admit it. If you just say, hey, we went for it, we swung for the fences, it didn't work, we're going to bench him, we're going to go to this, we're going to get this figured out, and we're going to do this, and come out and play some competent football. I'm not even asking you to win a ton of games this year, but just do the right thing and try to be better. I'm not going to watch this for 12 more games, 11 more games, however many more it is. I'm not going to. I'll be coming in here on Monday night therapy sessions, just listening to you guys talk because I won't know what to say. I can't justify this 3 hours to my wife.
It is, man. It's the investment into watching the game. It's like, why are we, to add on to your stats, there was just one other thing I wanted to say. Field Yates posted this on Twitter. The Browns have now become the first team in the last decade to score under 20 points in each of its first 6 games of the season. In the last decade. And what teams were in the last decade? 1-31. So that means we are worse than the 1-31 teams.
Oh,
like they scored more points. They at least had 20 or more in one of their first 6 games.
Listen, some of our stats are inflated with garbage time touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, like the one last week against Commanders. I don't count that. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and we had another one, late Ford touchdown against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
When we were losing by 80 at that point to a team that keeps getting blown out by everybody else they play.
Yep.
And we made them look like they were about to go to the Super Bowl. Remember after that game, we were all like, we looked awful and everything, but at least we lost to a really good football team. Dallas is garbage.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Who knows if McCarthy's going to survive this season?
Yeah, week 1, you're still basing everything on the previous season because you have to. You have nothing new. You don't have all this new information for the current season. 6 weeks in, we got a hell of a lot of information. The Cowboys suck, and the Browns are the worst team.
Yes, if the Jacksonville Jaguars played the Browns today, I would pick the Jags to beat us.
Oh, for sure.
Bojo's not punting it to the one every time.
Yeah. 100%. And they're probably, they're one of the worst teams in the league. Like when you get the Jacksonville matchup, it's like, ooh, lick your chops, baby. We can do anything we want against this team. And they beat, we beat them, but
and I don't know. There's some people out there still defending Watson, saying it's the line. And again, not saying everybody else is playing great, but I've been over this before. If you build your house on a bad foundation, it's going to make everything else worse. Your doors won't shut right.
Right. They might not be the best doors.
They might not be the best doors, but if you had a good foundation, it would still shut. Okay, but now that your windows might be, you can't open your windows because your walls. If your foundation is bad, everything about your house will be bad, and eventually it'll start to crumble and sink into the ground and kill everybody. And that is what is happening to the Browns. They built their offense on a faulty foundation in Deshaun Watson, which people want to call us flip-floppers sometimes. We defended Deshaun because of what he used to be, and he didn't get to play healthy here, so we were defending him. And when he did play healthy last year, I will still say he showed promise in healthy games last season, which is why we were optimistic coming into this year. Yeah. People hated on him last year. We're just being haters. In the games he was actually healthy, I forget the stat that was going around, but in his last 3 healthy starts, he threw for like 700 some yards, 7 touchdowns, and only 2 picks or something. And we were 5-1 in that. Like he was ascending last year, at least showing promise. Like if this guy could just play consistent football, he would be okay. I've never seen a drop off like this in my life.
No, I mean, one of my biggest arguments in defense of him over the offseason and everything was people wanted to say, oh, he didn't play at an elite level and stuff. I said, but we were winning. Like he was leading the offense, picking up first downs. We're scoring points. We're beating teams. Like I don't care if he's got 300 yards and 3 touchdowns as long as we win the game. Flash forward to this year, we're not winning games. We're losing every freaking game, and it's...
So I needed to go... I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. Well, one, we had the video come out where I think it was the guy from Yahoo Sports said he talked to some executive in the league or whatever who had been at Texans practice when Deshaun played there. And basically, during practice, Deshaun is looking to Bill O'Brien almost essentially like a middle school quarterback and for Bill to basically tell him where to go with the ball. Okay? And we're like, well, this kind of makes sense. I guess it's hard to verify, but the guy doesn't have any reason to lie. We can all see it. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things. And I was talking to you guys and I said, it reminds me of a basketball player who's a freak athlete and he comes into the league but he can't shoot. Shoots like 28% from 3 or, but he can just drive by everybody. He's bigger, faster, stronger. He dunks on everybody, takes it to the hoop. And then he dominates the league for 3 years. And then he gets an injury and he loses a step and he never learned to shoot. And all of a sudden he's out of the league in 5 years. And he was an MVP favorite at one point because he didn't learn how to put the biscuit in the basket. He lost his athleticism. And now, at the core, playing good basketball in the NBA is about being able to shoot the basketball. You have to be able you have to be defended or you're not going to be good. At the core in the NFL, being an elite or even good quarterback is up here.
Yeah.
It's about knowing where to go with the ball, processing information, and being able to get rid of the ball quickly and on target. And if he never learned how to read the defense and he just solely relied on athleticism, and now he doesn't, he looks so slow.
Yes.
And he doesn't have that athleticism anymore for time off, injuries, whatever it may be. This is where we're at.
Age. He's a lot older now than he was 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Because, last year we saw Joe Flacco, who, I don't know. What do you think? Is he a little less athletic than Deshaun Watson?
Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be.
Right? Joe Flacco is not this, go out there and beat you with his athleticism. But like you said, it's between the ears. He can process a defense. He can see pre-snap what to expect. Now, the defense, obviously, they're trying to hide what they're doing. But he knows as soon as he gets the ball, if he's feeling pressure from a linebacker, he knows he's got the slant over top, so he's just going to throw it. And that's the kind of processing that quarterbacks have got to have in the NFL.
And I had another thing. I'll remember it after. Maybe we got another voicemail or something to get to.
We do. We have 2 more voicemails to play. First, let me tell you guys real quick about Underdog Fantasy. I know the Browns suck again, but there's still actually plenty of good real football that you guys can watch this season. That's where Underdog Fantasy, they got you guys covered. You can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats, like touchdowns, passing yards, and other things. Honestly, you guys could probably still have some fun with the Browns. I mean, Deshaun's touchdown line is probably going to be like 0.5 or something. So if you pick the lower, it'll probably get you there more times than not. The Underdog app, it's easy to use. I've been playing fantasy sports on there for years. I play a ton of best ball, and the higher or lower picks just adds more to the fun each Sunday. So making your picks on Underdog is straightforward. Signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code DOGS to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. You must be 18 or older, 19 and older in Alabama, New England, or Nebraska, 19 and older in Colorado for some games, 20 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Or text next step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. And now we're going to hear from our boy Brad.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. We suck. Yeah. So here we go again down this road. The road that we've traveled so many times before. Yeah. So, you know, we still have the trash can out there at quarterback playing. And even with Kev's like emergency quarterback is terrible offense, you know, conservativeness, he still was missing open guys. Still overthrowing, underthrowing, still running into sacks for some fucking reason. Yeah, he still needs to be benched. Yeah, still bench. Just bench. I mean, dude, it's bad. Only redeeming thing of this game was our special teams, even though D-Hop missed that one field goal, but whatever. And our defense was playing pretty good for a while until, you know, getting gassed. I don't know. I mean, whatever, full send it with this team, but you had to start trading players. Get some draft picks. We got to rebuild this thing from the ground up again. Some people are getting fired. Who knows when? But here we go again. Woo! Woof, woof.
So I've got a screenshot here from, you guys remember Mitchell Schwartz?
Mm-hmm.
Very good right tackle for the Browns.
Chiefs.
Super Bowl winner and all that kind of stuff. So this is interesting. So yesterday, Zach Jackson from the Akron, I think Beacon Journal or whatever, posted on Twitter that Stefanski said the Browns will stick with Deshaun Watson. Mitchell Schwartz retweeted that and said, it's incredibly shitty to do this to the rest of the team. Joel Bitonio is out there every week playing through who knows what and has to wreck his body when they have no chance of being good because of the quarterback. Myles Garrett is playing in pain every week. Feel for everyone else there.
Yeah.
I mean,
then you watch why you know why there's drops and there's missed assignments and there's false starts because they're not focused. Why are they not focused? Because they're not bought in.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, it's tough because we talked about yesterday on the live before the show when me and Justin were up there week one. Like, you could just see the body language on the field. The guys are just, it's the slouched shoulders, it's the head rolls, it's the eye rolls. They know it's hopeless.
It's so bad. I was texting you last night. Just to touch on what he said too, I don't think you can bring Deshaun back in the building next year. Especially if they really do give him the rest of this season, he's going to go on to have statistically one of the worst seasons ever. Okay.
Yeah.
At this rate, the anger from Browns fans will be beyond anything I've ever seen. You will have completely lost your locker room. Okay. So you cannot bring him back, whatever that means in terms, if you have to do whatever you have to do, if you got to take the hit and just give him a bunch of money and we can't hardly field a team next year, whatever you got to do for him to just be gone. Okay. I still think they'll explore the route where they're going to find a team that has a ton of cap that needs a lot of picks. And we're going to end up trading them away along with multiple picks for them to take him and put his money on their books and just cut him. And then he'll never play down in professional football again.
You imagine the Browns fan base. You spent 5 draft picks to get this guy, and then you're to trade for him. Then you're going to use multiple draft picks to trade him away.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's a classic Cleveland move right there. But
dude, it so is.
That legitimately might be their best option. But I don't think it needs to be a complete tear down rebuild. I think it can be a soft rebuild in terms of you just need the right coach and the right quarterback. And I'm not saying fire Kevin Stefanski because I think he's a good coach, but it's gotten to the point now where you might have to just do a cleanse of anybody who's in the building right now to just start fresh, just to wash the stink of it. That's how bad this season has gone.
Yeah, dude, it really has.
I never in a million years would have thought I would say that, because we've been huge Kevin Stefanski defenders and supporters, but it can go so bad that you just have to start, like you just have to wash your hands of everything and start fresh. That's how bad this is going. And it's week 7. If we go to a whole season of this, but you have good pieces in place for the next few years. Myles Garrett is still under contract. You still have Denzel Ward under contract, JOK under contract. Like you still have Judy, who I don't think is a number 1 wide receiver, but I still think he can be like a solid player in the right system with the right coach and the right quarterback.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a number 1. We didn't think he was brought here to be a number 1. So obviously Amari Cooper will be gone. I think you can let Elijah Moore go.
Yes.
And, but David Njoku is under contract and he's a top tight end in this league. You have good pieces in the building that it doesn't have to be a total tear down It doesn't have to be a 1-31 type tear down rebuild.
No, absolutely not.
It does not have to be. You have pieces in place that are being paid that are good. You just have to find the right coach and especially the right quarterback. And we've been saying this for our entire lives, but that's why I started thinking about like coaching wish lists.
So I know you talk about the coaching wish list, but it takes me back to our conversation with Jack Duffin from the OBR, a month and a half ago, whatever, before the season started. And he said, even if things don't work out with Deshaun Watson, like the way that this front office, manages the cap and all that kind of stuff, like their approach with the cash side of things versus the cap and all that stuff. Next year, we could very plausibly draft a rookie quarterback and we could still trade for and pay a bridge quarterback, a good one like Kirk Cousins is the guy he always goes back to. And I'm just sitting here thinking, well, Kirk Cousins in a Kevin Stefanski offense would probably be pretty damn good.
Well, he was once.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't even think about that. So we already know that can work, and I feel like he can still play at a pretty high level. And he would be, because you got to think Atlanta's going to be chomping at the bit to get Penix out there, probably next year, depending on how things go this year.
I mean, they look like they have a chance to be. I mean, they're 4-2.
No, I get it, but just depending on how things go this year. But it's an option where it's like you're saying. It doesn't have to be a complete teardown. Like you could bridge this thing for a year, maybe still be competitive next year and make a little playoff push or whatever, and then come back the following year with a rookie coming into his second season who's got some experience and all this kind of stuff. So
if you get the right quarterback and the right coach, you can start right away.
It can't. Well, I mean, I didn't think that Eberflus was the right coach in Chicago, but I mean, Caleb Williams started off a little rocky, but turned it on and they're clicking right now, and they got a great defense.
And, I mean, obviously Jaden Williams.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Daniels is playing, great.
We saw it last year with D'Amico Ryan and C.J. Stroud in Houston. Like, you're right. Like, I mean, nobody thought Houston was going to be what they were last year. You got the right quarterback and the right coach and instantly.
And the right offensive coordinator.
Yes. Yeah,
so
that helps a lot.
I do not think Ken Dorsey is the right offensive coordinator, and Stefanski might not be the right coach. Like, I would do anything. I'd throw a blank checkbook at Ben Johnson, and I don't think he'll come here because of all the dysfunction right now, and he's holding out for the right job. But, man, if we have a number 1 pick and you get to tell him, hey, I know it's been a little rocky, but if you come here, you get to pick the quarterback you want to run your offense, that's enticing to a guy. I think another guy who I've had my eye on, if we're going down this road a little bit, if the Giants season goes way off the rails, I like Brian Daboll. He's gotten more out of Daniel Jones than probably anybody would.
He's been here before too.
And then if we don't get a guy like that, like I prefer an offensive guy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I am okay with a guy like a Dan Quinn or a Vrabel, as long as they're going to bring an offensive coordinator that is like from one of these coaching trees that is in this modern NFL. Like Dan Quinn, I wouldn't want to have hired Dan Quinn without Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know
Great
what I mean?
Example.
And I wouldn't have wanted to hire D'Amico Ryans without
Bobby Slowick.
Yeah. That kind of thing. Like, I think you can go get like one of these tough-minded, disciplinarian, culture-changing head coaches, as long as they're going to bring in not Arthur Smith. Yeah, they're gonna bring in one of these guys who can modernize your NFL and get the most out of your quarterback. That is going to be on a head coach trajectory in the next 3 years. So I'm okay with whichever direction it goes. Ben Johnson would be number one on my wish list. I don't want to talk about firing Stefanski, but again, this has gone so bad so quickly, and the fans are so mad that you might have to clean house. That's where I'm at. Where that just might be the only option. You might not be able to retain anything.
This episode is brought to you by Baden Sports. Browns fans, Baden Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Baden started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Baden has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Baden has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Baden makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Baden even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Baden's website where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Baden Sports, BADEN Sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BadenSports.com/dogs. Yeah, I mean, it sucks to talk about. It sucks to think about, but that's where we are. Because I mean, I feel like we're just beating a dead horse. I mean, watch the product on the field, and there's nothing. There's just nothing to get excited about. You talked about, we haven't talked about anything positive from the game yesterday because honestly, like you said at the beginning of the show, it really doesn't freaking matter. I mean, Myles Garrett clears a guy like he did last year in the Colts, right? On a field goal attempt, like. Just one of those super athletic, freak of nature, only the best of the best can do this kind of thing. Blocks the field goal. Rodney McLeod scoops it. We score. Everybody's cheering. I was watching the game with like a whole bunch of extended family and friends and things yesterday, and it was like 10-10, I think, at that point, right? We tied it up, and I was like, well, that's great. All they got to do is kick another field goal, and we're probably going to lose. Because we can't score. We cannot score on offense. So it's like, even those great, I mean, yesterday I thought we ran the ball better.
We did.
I mean, Jerome Ford left with a hamstring injury, so I don't know what his status is going to be. I know we got Nick Chubb supposedly coming back on Sunday, as long as there's no setbacks or anything this week. That's kind of slated in there, which I'm excited for that. But, even though we ran the ball better, it didn't really matter.
It doesn't, we're too many self-inflicted wounds. So obviously Watson's bad. And everything's hard, so you can't make it harder on yourself with false starts, holding penalties,
we talk about the
passes. Out to Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it.
I said, do you want to?
Go ahead.
Oh, I just thought it was just a microcosm of the whole situation right now.
So
go ahead.
My thing with that is it didn't work, so it looks awful, and everybody bitches about the play call. But I watch that same play work against us, and I watch other teams do that kind of stuff every single Sunday.
You know why it probably works for the other teams? They assigned somebody to block the freaking defender. Nobody blocked him.
I know.
I'm watching this play, and I'm same thing that you said. Like, I don't hate the play call. I hate the execution. Like, how does nobody block that? I mean, he was uncovered. The defender he's like, I guess I'll just tackle him.
Yeah.
And what was it? Was it Brandon Graham?
Mate,
I forget who it was. Whoever was the broadcast was like, hey, this guy's been in the league for like ever. Like, he's a veteran. He's going to sniff this out. Nobody blocked. Nobody even touched him.
And I don't understand. Like, this is why another thing where I'm saying, Kevin, I've never thought we've looked this poorly coached, but we look poorly coached.
It's so bad.
And like when people I've never been a guy who gets mad at Kevin for being what people say is too cute. Did you watch the Lions game at all? They literally ran a hook and lateral to Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Got called back, right?
I don't remember, but
didn't they have it illegal down the field or something?
They ran it to him.
Yeah.
They're running double flea flickers to their tight ends. They're doing Every team, I watch a ton of NFL football, and at least once a game, these other teams are running some kind of trick play, and there's nothing tricky about running a jet sweep to a receiver. How many jet sweeps have just murdered the Browns in the last 2 years?
And we ran into one of our slower receivers.
Well, yeah. Like we don't get too cute. We just don't execute.
Right, exactly.
All these teams are running trick plays. All these teams are doing it because guess what? Moving the ball in the NFL is hard.
Yeah.
Especially, so I just, this is why, like, I don't know if anybody's going to be back. It's going to be.
Well, I mean, how do you retain, well, I guess I was going to say, how do you retain a coach when they go 1-16? But I mean, we did it before. So. Yeah,
and here's the thing is, if we don't, I don't want, as much as I've been a Kevin guy, I don't want to go 1-16 or 2-15, and then we bring Kevin back because we're like, we got rid of Deshaun, we're giving him control, we're going to go back to what Kevin does, and then we start the next season off slow, and he gets fired 3 weeks in, and then it's another wasted season.
Right.
Like if it has to be done, as much as it sucks, and I don't want him to be fired because I think he's the best head coach we've had in a long time. And I think he'll be a good head coach somewhere else. Like, if it has to be done, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And so we can just start next year, clean slate, and let's just move on from this. This is a disaster.
The bad thing is, like, losing the way the Browns are losing right now is a rotting cancer that will go through the entire organization. And I've said this before. You alluded to it earlier, like talking about the core pieces that we don't need to do a full rebuild. Like, we've got a lot of young players on this team. We've got young players on rookie contracts. We've got young players on their second contract that were just winning games a year ago. And if they start getting in this losing culture that we've seen time and time again in Cleveland, you just start to adopt that. And then losing just becomes, oh, it was another Sunday, we lost, who cares? And that's a mentality that once that starts to get into your organization and around your team, you got to cut it out completely. Like, everybody's got to go. And we're not just losing games on a bad call or, one late play or anything like that. We're losing games from the jump.
No, we just look like a bad football team. I think the defense this year there's been a drop off, obviously, since last year, especially like in terms of open field tackling and pressuring the quarterback and that kind of thing. But we give up 33 points to the Cowboys in week 1, okay, where they're on the field the whole game. Then we give up 13 points in week 2, 21 points in week 3, 20 points in week 4. We gave up 34 to Washington last week. I was not as good. Again, on the field the whole time, and they got some touchdowns late. And then we give up 20 points last week. We've given up 21 or fewer in 4 of our games. 4 of our 6 games, we've given up 21 points or fewer. So the defense has obviously had a drop-off from last year, but they're still playing good enough football for us to win football games. Okay.
And I've said this so many times. We're playing the worst defenses in the league right now.
Yes.
Teams we should be, if we were any bit of a competent offense, especially passing, we should be carving these people up. We should be carving up the Cowboys. We should have carved up the Eagles yesterday. The Commanders, we should have just been all over the field passing against them.
What did Lamar just do to the Commanders?
I can look real quick.
I got it pulled up.
Okay. I'm sure, they won, so.
But I'm pretty sure Lamar was 20 of 26 for 323 yards and a touchdown. He did throw 1 pick. Zay Flowers had 9 catches for 132 yards.
Every team we faced is giving up. I put the stat out there today. It was like 197 or 198 passing yards per game is the lowest average of a defense that we faced so far. So everybody we've played has either given up 198 yards passing per game or more. And our highest on the season is 196.
And think about how bad. So all the defenses we've played so far. So if you go back and look, all these defenses we've played are statistically awful. And they played us and we didn't throw for any yards. Imagine if they played a real NFL team that week.
Yeah. And we didn't score any points.
They'd be even worse. Imagine how much worse their defensive stats would be, especially against the pass, if they didn't have the luxury of playing the Browns one week. They would be historically bad.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have yet to play a good defense.
Yeah. And, just the ineptitude across the board. I mean, the defense has taken a step back, like you said. Now, it's not terrible, but it's taken a step back. The line, the receivers. What about like our special teams too? I know we had a great score yesterday, but then Hopkins damn near missed the extra point. He hooked it in there. around the upright, but he almost missed it. And he missed a 52-yarder yesterday, which I get it. It's a 52-yarder, but he didn't miss any 50s last year. And he's missed multiple kicks now in the past weeks. Like, it's just almost becoming this mentality of, doesn't really matter. Not that I'm saying he's trotting out there saying it doesn't matter if I make this kick, but I don't feel like the pressure or the passion, I guess I should say, the drive to perform at your best level, I don't feel it from anybody.
No, it's awful. Do we have another voicemail?
Yep, we got one more. So
get to it.
This one's Devontae.
Hey guys, this is Devontae. 2 years ago, if you would have asked me to watch this game, I would have been cheering die hard for the Eagles. Y'all know my story. Cleveland wasted a prime opportunity to send Philadelphia home, send their fans home with tears in their eyes. But yet, the penalties. Right when Deshaun hits a rhythm, which all the time nobody says, Deshaun Watson still needs to be benched. Just start it all over. Cooper, again, it's like every game Coop does something to we look back over the game when there's one possession, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. And Coop, and lovely old Wells. Yeah, it's always next year.
I mean, we didn't even talk about like the face mask that Cooper had down the sideline.
If there isn't anything more Cleveland in more 2024 Cleveland Browns football season, it was the play where the entire world was like, okay, it's defensive pass interference. And then they come out and they call face mask on the offense. And then you watch the replay and you're like, oh, yep, it was. Yeah, because pulled him down by his face mask.
Every replay we saw at the beginning, everyone, I was watching the game with was like, oh yeah, he's got his jersey, meaning the defender on Cooper. And then when they called face mask, we watched it again and we paid attention. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, he's holding the guy by his face mask. Like, dude, our veteran guys suck. Like, I love Amari Cooper still. I think that what he's done since he's been here has been great, but it's time to go. Like, I think they need to trade him. They just need to get him off the team. We're not winning games at this point, so it doesn't freaking matter. We need to get Cedric Tillman on the field, Jamari Thrash. I need to see what these guys have, get them some experience, let them develop a little bit, because Cooper's not part of the future. He's not part of the present. So just trade him. Get some draft picks or whatever for him. Recoup whatever you can and move on. He sucks right now, and I don't think it's going to get better.
Yeah, so we got the Bengals coming up.
Yep.
So if I look at the rest of our season,
where's the win? Give me one win.
If I'm even picking people to even have a chance against, I'm saying Bengals, Saints, Bengals. And I would pick us to lose all three of those games. I'm just saying those are the ones that we maybe even be in the realm of possibility. But it's going to require more than 17 points to do so.
When you say in the realm of possibility, I'm thinking of like yesterday where it was a 4-point game at the end.
Yes.
Because we had a special teams touchdown. But without that, it was a 20-9?
Yes.
So it's not.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about like it won't be a complete decimation.
The Bengals will score more than 20.
When I look at this, if obviously playoffs, we're talking playoffs, they're so far out of the picture. But I saw a tweet today that said they got 5 or 6 games coming up that are against AFC opponents, a bunch of division games. If they can go like 4-1, and I'm like 4-1, but in a perfect world, they'd be like probably one game out of a wild card spot at that point and on a good roll. So technically the season's not done. You're right, sir, whoever you were. Technically, the season is not done. But guess what? It's fucking over.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah. It would take as much of a collapse it has been. That's how big the turnaround would have to instantly be for us to win any of these football games.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, man.
There's been no indication because newsflash, it's been bad since training camp. The reports out of training camp were that the team did not look good.
And then preseason, we saw it, and we chalked it up to, it's preseason. We're not playing starters. We're not showing anything from the playbook. And then week 1, we saw it, and we chalked it up to, it was week 1. Nobody played in the preseason.
Dallas is good.
And then week 2, we actually scraped out a win. It was a rainy game in Jacksonville, and it was like, okay, well, hey, we got a win. We're back to 1-1. We got the Giants coming up. No big deal. Yeah, we suck. We suck real bad.
Like we've said, this is, and it's not even like a fun bad. It's not like I remember the year we had, I think it was Eric Mangini's second year, and we didn't win many football games. We won like 2 or 3, I think. But we were fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like he emptied the playbook every game. We were running cool stuff to cribs sometimes. Like I thought they fired him too early because I thought the team was finally like starting to like show something with them a little bit. But we were fun to watch, at least. Like fun to root for. We're not even fun to like. I get no joy. I'm gonna watch this Bengals game this coming Sunday, and as I sit here right now, I really don't feel like watching it.
No, because you know we're gonna lose.
And even if we win, it means nothing. We'll be 2-5, and we'll have a win against another 2-5 team.
Yeah.
And we got the Ravens coming up.
Lost.
Let's see, after the Bengals. So even if we scrap out a shitty win against the shitty Bengals, we got the Ravens. That's a loss. The Chargers, most likely a loss. The Saints is a toss-up. Maybe we can play with them. They've been really bad lately.
Depends on who's playing quarterback too.
And then, Spencer Rattler didn't look awful.
No, he didn't.
And then the Steelers will have negative yards on offense.
Oh, yeah.
The Broncos will have negative yards of offense. The Chiefs,
Yeah.
okay. And then the Bengals and the Dolphins and the Ravens. Like it doesn't matter if we win this week.
Maybe the Dolphins, if Tua never comes back, maybe we get a win there. And I saw somebody, I wanted to talk about this. I saw somebody in the chat said, why are we acting like Jameis Winston's going to fix anything? It can't get worse.
Yes.
First of all, Jameis is a rah-rah guy. He's got the energy. And the thing is, all he has to do is be able to walk up to the line and process pre-snap what a defense is showing. And then as soon as he gets the ball, be able to feel pressure and know where to go to his receivers who are typically wide open, or at least by NFL standards. Like when we say, I had to tell somebody this the other day watching the game because I said, hey, that guy was wide open. And they said, no, he wasn't. I said, in the NFL, that's wide open.
Yes,
like if there's a window for like a second, that's wide open.
You have to anticipate where you're going to go with the ball. If you are waiting for guys to be open, you're too late.
Yeah, that's why you're getting sacked.
Yes. And if you're waiting for them to get open, by the time the ball gets there, they're not open. You have to throw it before they're open, before their break. Yes, they're going to run a backside dig. And right now they're not open. But when you throw it to this window and he makes his cut, it will be there when he is open.
You throw it to spots, not to players.
Yes. And it's like, we don't do that. He's just waiting for guys to get open. And by that point, if he has the time to hold the ball that long, by the time the ball gets there, it's too late. They're not open anymore. Because it turns out you don't throw the ball 250 miles per hour. You know?
Yeah.
It's so bad. This says, bro, we lost by 4 points. Relax. We lost our 5th game in 6.
And again, it was only 4 points because of a special teams great play. Our offense scored no touchdowns. We talked about earlier in the show. No touchdowns in or 1 touchdown in our last 29 drives.
With I forget the number. How much money are we paying to our offense?
It's the most in the league. We spend the most cash in the league.
Yes.
We have the most expensive roster in the NFL, and we're the worst freaking team.
Yes.
There is no bro, we lost by 4, relax. We are terrible.
The season's done before the second month of our season's done before Thanksgiving, before Halloween.
Yeah. There's nothing left.
Yes.
That's why I say trade the tradable assets. Get the younger guys in there so we can at least get a different quarterback who can actually throw the ball to a Cedric Tillman and Jamari Thrash so we can see what they can do.
Like, just give me something that's worth watching.
Yes, I just need to be able to watch something. Like it's not even it's not even close to competitive. Kenny says 190 million on offense.
It's so bad.
1-5. Oh man.
I remember one of my points before we wrap up. I was thinking last year, I was like, how did this team win 11 games last year? And then you go back and if you think about some of our wins, like maybe some help from the officials against the Niners, maybe a little bit of help from the officials against the Colts.
The Niners was that missed field goal too.
A little bit. There were some kind of like fluke things that went our way last year that maybe don't always go our way and we get to 11 wins. And it reminded me of, if anybody watching is a bowler like myself, you might go out there and you're not throwing the ball well and you slop down 5 Brooklyn strikes and you bowl a 250 and you're like, well, I bowled a 250. But anybody watching was like, he didn't throw the ball very well. And then you wonder how you go out in game 2 and you throw a 118. It's because all of a sudden your slop strikes quit and all of a sudden you left 8 splits. this is what it seems like for the Browns. Like we won 11 games last year, but there was fluky thing. Maybe we weren't playing as well. We weren't as well coached as what we thought we were. And we just got a couple breaks that we don't normally get. And we won all these one possession games because of these little fluky things. And then because we were playing not as well as we think we were, but we won. So we didn't correct some of these things. Now we come out here and we're doing the same stuff against better opponents. And we don't win any games because you weren't winning because you were playing well. You were winning because you got a couple things to go your way. Me
and Justin, I think, talked about that yesterday morning about the few games or the handful of games last year that were like, well, those could have gone either way. And one of the other ones was the Chicago Bears game. Remember, they were beating us because Joe Flacco threw a pick six, another pick that led to a touchdown at like the 2 or 3 yard line. And we were down 14-3 or something. And it took like 200 plus yard performance from Joe Flacco in the fourth quarter just to get us back in that game. We still damn near lost on a Hail Mary pass at the end. So, yeah, there was all kinds of stuff last year where maybe we got to just quit chalking shit up to excuses and saying, well, they're hurt. Well, we got half of our team on IR. Well, this, well, that, and just say, we're not playing well. We got lucky. Because that's what happened a lot last year. We did not play well in a lot of those games.
And then when when you stop getting the bounces, you don't get the slop strikes. You don't hit, you don't hit Brooklyn and somehow, instead you leave a 7-10 split and you're not going to pick it up. And that's a loss. Yeah. And all of a sudden you bowled 250, then you bowled 100 and you wonder what happened.
Winning games covers up a lot of ugliness. And I think we let that happen last year. I see what Aaron Butler's in the chat, Chubb for 200 yards versus the Bengals. Dude, I don't see Chubb getting more than, what do you think? 5, 7 carries?
I don't know.
I can't imagine them giving him a heavy work. Dude, just coming back off a catastrophic knee injury. I cannot fathom them giving him any kind of big workload.
I don't know. We'll see. That's about the only thing worth watching
this week. The only thing that's going to be cheered for, like you said. You're exactly right. The first incompletion, I saw people saying like, oh, by the end of the first quarter. I'm like, guys, by the first incompletion that he throws, they will get booed off the field.
Oh, the first 3 and out. If he throws a pick, it's going to be. He says he doesn't. He said he doesn't hear it. He doesn't see it. Well, they'll make sure you hear it and you see it.
Kevin says that he gives us the best chance to win. Come on, they're all lying through their teeth.
Yes. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Another therapy session. Yeah, it sucks. We got to wrap this thing up. I think the Guardians throw first pitch in 4 minutes. So,
all right, go Guardians. We got to get something going here.
Yep, let's go Guardians. Let's make a World Series run at this. Fuck the Yankees. Fuck these big market teams in baseball that buy their championships. Let's go shock the world, damn it. Let's shock the world. Have something fun to talk about next week because it most likely won't be a Browns win.
No, it'll be the same time, same therapy session next week, everybody. So remember, we tell you all the time, it's a free session, an hour for free every Monday night.
Yep. So we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us for another an hour-long therapy session.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. You guys have been killing it. I know we didn't reference you guys as much as normal today. We're just popping off about our disappointment with this team, but you guys are awesome. We love seeing the chat just going like crazy.
Yep. And again, we appreciate you guys being here. If you want to get your thoughts and voicemails on the show, it's thedogspodcast.com. Tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. Make sure you have the notification bell tapped. You don't want to miss our preview episode coming up this week and me and Kenny's episode later this week. So, again, thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys later this week when we preview the Bengals game.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after. Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.
Stop. Before you consider taking drastic measures to lose weight, like GLP-1 injections, consider Golo. Golo's release is easier than injections and fad diets. No need to jump through insurance hoops. It's simple. You take one release supplement with each meal. Golo's release supplement contains 7 natural plants and 3 key minerals that target body fat and combat the stress of dieting. With Golo, you follow the Golo for Life plan, where you'll safely and effectively control sugar cravings and hunger while minimizing muscle loss, allowing you to feel good and inspired to reach your goal weight. With Golo, you get an effective and affordable weight loss solution that's clinically proven, because controlling glucose, maintaining healthy insulin levels, and saying goodbye to starvation dieting is the secret to lasting weight loss and wellness. Visit Golo.com to get started today. That's Golo.com. Go to Golo.com to join the 5 million people who have switched to Golo as a better way to lose weight. Visit GOLO.com today.